Israel with Geek Power Squad, and we're here with
Tom Rasch.
Tom Rasch, the artist behind Black Alpha. This comic book has been on sale since.
Just a couple of days ago, actually. It's
So-
the world premiere #1 issue right here at Denver Comic Con. Actually just picked up the issues, or the first print run Thursday night, and we're pretty much sold out. Sold by Sunday evening.
And how did this come about? Where did you get the idea to make a book like this?
Actually, I came up with the idea when I was 11 years old, believe it or not. I was in 5th grade. It's always kind of been in the back of my mind, but I think there was a different time then. So if you wanted to do something like that, it was probably quite a bit more difficult than it is today. But it was always back there. It was like my dream. And so after a while, I became a comic book professional, drawing for Marvel Comics. And then I've also done a little bit of film work as a concept artist, a lot of concept artwork in video games. And the combination of sort of paying attention to social media and technology like 3D printing, like you realize that you can kind of get things out there and also create product without necessarily having some big company to come in and offer you like a deal. Eventually that's what I would still like to do, but the initial idea is that it's kind of a grassroots campaign where we live in a time where if you got an idea, all it takes is a computer, right? And especially like you don't even necessarily have to physically publish a comic. You can just get it out to the people and hopefully start building a following for what you're doing. Yeah. But for me, it's still be able to have like the issue you have here in front of you. That's a huge thrill. After all these years, to get a story that you've had in my head for many years off the ground and rolling and stuff. So, but I've mentioned this a few times in interviews. I grew up like since I was 5 or 6 years old. Remember, I watched TV and I watched Star Trek, and I was immediately a Trekkie then. And then I watched the Batman Adam West TV show and then the Spider-Man cartoon, and I was just hooked into, which I didn't even know was nerd culture, but that's what we know it as, or genre culture. And so between that being like a huge pivotal point in my life, just enjoying it as a fan, I started drawing when I was very young too. I love science fiction and superheroes, so the fact that I would create a story that's about a superhero, kind of in a way sort of following some of the Batman story among other things, but having a set space would just make sense to me as a fan anyway, and as a creator. So.
And as you said, the first issue was just released here. Where would it be, for those people who weren't here or wanted to get an issue here at Comic-Con, what stores would it be sent to, and where could we collect it? Where could we buy the featured issues as they're released?
So, well, a couple of things. I had a big announcement today. I premiered a new trailer. I've had, pretty awesome news to share over the last couple months, and for anyone who isn't familiar with me or this, I actually have Black Alpha items like, collectibles and posters and t-shirts and all sorts of fun stuff on the Big Bang Theory, so I've been able to get a little exposure, that way, and that'll continue to build, especially over this next year. And then the announcement I made today is that this issue 1, actually, you'll also be able to view it in USA Today, the paper that we pretty much have all heard of, and that'll start later on this June. So if people are patient, because it sounds like a whole issue, which is 22 pages, will probably play out about over 2 months or so. It's like 2 or 3 pages a week. If you want to read it now, I will be setting up an online store that people can just order copies from me. So I tell people all the time, more than anything, go to the Black Alpha Facebook page. So if you type in Black Alpha, BLACKALPHA, look on Facebook, you'll see fictional character, I think, come up, and that's the one. And so that's the one I try and tell people, this is what's going on, these are the announcements, try and post links, information, and I know I've actually had tons of people say that, send me messages on Facebook going, I can't be at Denver Comic Con, I want one of those, how can I get my hands on it? And also, people have been wanting to buy t-shirts and some of the toy stuff, so I can sell those in like small quantity, and all that stuff will be like on Facebook, and then there's a new website for it. We haven't done much work on it over the last couple of months because I've been so busy getting this issue 1 ready. But anyway, you'll also be able to, if you go to blackalphaseries.com, you'll also be able to find stuff on there too. That's actually where the online store will be. But like I said, I'll constantly connect a link to like Twitter, Facebook, those kinds of things. So.
And we heard that you had a studio looking into this, make a cartoon adaptation of it.
Yeah, I mean, I've actually talked to a couple of movie producers this last year. That's always kind of a never-ending process because sometimes you'll have someone who's interested 1 minute and something falls apart and they're not. But you just got to keep forging ahead. And there's someone I just connected with recently. Actually, 2 Canadian connections. One of them is out of Toronto, and this guy has an idea that is almost sold as a cartoon show. So he wants to bring me in. He actually, as funny as it sounds, he referenced Ben 10, which was a huge influence looks-wise on the book. But he also said, he goes, I'd like this thing to look like Ben 10 and Black Alpha. So that was kind of nice. He called me out as a reference. But I'm going to work with him on designing characters and vehicles, but he's got an agent, and there's a lot of buzz, especially in the Canadian market, about trying to find things to turn into video games, cartoons. And so he goes, I talked to my agent about what you're doing. He's really excited, and they're also going to try and shop it around as a cartoon series. I was actually approached by a publisher out of Quebec, and they want to do a French version of Black Alpha, so he's interested too, and I was also publishing it, so that'll be kind of fun to have it like in a different language.
Yeah, if you were to get into a cartoon or a movie, what actor would you love to see in the role of Black Alpha?
Um, I'm kind of torn on this. I really love Chris Hemsworth. Most people seem to. I think he's a good-looking guy, but he also seems kind of approachable and down to earth and has a charm about him. My aversion to kind of going with the classical handsome hunky route is that I want the character. I mean, he's kind of drawn that way. It's a stylistic choice for the comic and I guess the animated series, but really he's supposed to be your next door neighbor, like a little less nerdy version of Peter Parker. So I try and find actors sometimes that have maybe a little more depth to them. Like they don't necessarily look like the most handsome guy on the planet. So I've said this before. I'd like to see like a Michael Fassbender, played Magneto in the X-Men Origins movie. Like if he was a little younger, say 10 years, an actor kind of like him. And then there was one actor that someone pointed out to me. It's Armie Hammer, who's actually playing the Lone Ranger in the new Johnny Depp movie. I'll have to see that movie to see. At first I was like, I don't know, he's kind of a little too pretty, but he seems funny. So I would want someone, an actor who could carry all the emotions of, pathos and depth and humor and, just kind of a nuance that we can all relate to. So I would say right now, there isn't like a blatant, like this guy I could totally see playing. Maybe I would be open to Armie Hammer. Like I said, the jury's still out. I'll have to see the Lone Ranger, or a Chris Hemsworth, because like I said, I think he's able to pull off that balance where, of course, some of the women love him as Thor. But he's still, he's still a likable actor. Like he's got that kind of extra. Like I watched Snow White and the Huntsman, and I thought he was great in that. So I guess those two actors, and maybe a younger Michael Fassbender.
And what other future conventions will you be appearing at or selling this comic?
I'm going to be going to Las Vegas in 2 weeks. I've actually been to Vegas several times. I'm trying to figure out how to say this. I passed through Vegas a bunch, driving through. I've been a connection on flights, but I've never actually hung out in Vegas any longer than an hour or two. So I'm kind of excited about feeling, I guess, the vibe of Vegas, but also in a comic convention. So I'm excited about that one. So that'll be in 2 weeks. And then the really fun one is the week after that. I grew up in Rapid City, South Dakota. So they're actually having me out there as a special guest. So like the TV stations, the news, the radio, the newspaper are all going to do a feature. They're sort of selling me as local boy done good. And they have I talked to the girl that runs it, and she said they have an autograph section for me for 2 days for that. And doing panels to talk about it. But they're really excited about having me come back there. So that'll be an interesting one, although I did feel bad because when I found out they call it Sodak Con, which is an anime con. And when I first heard that's what it was, and I said, well, I don't really do things in an anime style. She goes, no, it's just what we're calling it. It's like everything else. It's a pop culture con. That's how it started out. So she said they've been doing it actually for 5 years, and it's been a while since I moved away from Rapid City. So I didn't know about it, but I'm glad that this is the 5th one coming up. So I think that'll be fun and interesting. And then there's a couple other ones. I might be doing New York in the fall, maybe Chicago again here by the end of summer. But yeah, I don't do cons as much as some people do because obviously I have to work and create. And as fun as cons can be, I mean they take up a lot of your time, and you're busy promoting, and you don't really get any work done during the hours that cons are going on, and you're trying to see things and hang out with your friends.
So I heard you were featured on The Big Bang Theory. What episode is this comic featured in? Like, what locations should fans do it for?
I got to be honest. I don't know the episode titles. I know that the first one that was on was a little over a month ago. The episode I know had to do with Raj had actually found a blog of the character that he's dating on the show. So apparently she made some funny remarks in the blog, so he was trying to act a little more macho. That was the episode. She shows up, so she comes into his apartment, and as soon as she walks to the door, or Wallowitz walks to the door, you'll see Black Alpha right there by the Catwoman bust. It's on one bookshelf. And I guess there's been another episode that also took place, so somebody told me they saw it again. So that's generally, you'll find like the big grayscale statue, and that'll always be where it's at. The ship is on the other bookshelf. It's a little harder to see, but I'm still always personally excited because it's right above a Star Wars TIE Fighter. So my ship gets to be with a ship that I loved as a kid. This next season, they gave me t-shirts to go under wardrobe. And the way that it works, the actors pick the clothes that they wear on the show. So it'll be up to them, but eventually it should make an appearance, which would be really fun. I'm personally really excited about that. And then there'll be copies of this comic book are actually going to go in the comic shop set, about 15 of them. And then the couple of big posters based on this issue 1 cover, and then there's another, like a one sheet for the uninitiated in the audience. It's kind of like the movie poster style. It's to kind of sell the image of whatever's coming out. And so both of those will also be in the comic shop set. So what's fun for me is that, like, either way, you know, it's not, say, in like Leonard and Sheldon's apartment, but it's on, you know, 2 of the other big sets, so it will be seen occasionally. And somebody had actually asked me earlier today at the con, they go, oh, is it just going to be on one time, or is this a couple time deal? And as long as the show's on the air, and as long as they want to have it, it is now a permanent part of the show's set, basically, of prop, set dressing, and wardrobe. So yeah, I'm really excited. It's pretty surreal to say, here's a show that I personally absolutely love, and now I've got a connection, like you said, through product placement and stuff.
So last night at the launch party, you began to tell a story about how everything came about, how everything came together. I know you were cut short on that. I was wondering if you could tell the story now and complete it.
Well, I guess maybe clarify, what do you mean, like exactly how everything came together?
You told a story like how it's like a kind of a love letter to Star Wars and Star Trek.
Oh.
So like, if you could like finish that story now.
Yeah. Well, you know, what I was alluding to is that when you're a person who, I guess, realizes you are creative or you have a creative outlet, obviously, like anything in art, you know, musicians, it doesn't matter what you do, you're always inspired by something that came before you, right? And sometimes it's an actor, you know, or a musician or a director or anything. A lot of those are influential on me, but also the things that anyone who's ever loved, I mean passionately loved, like Star Trek or Star Wars. And like I said, probably earlier in our conversation, superheroes, that's just something that's been a huge part of my life. And me getting this kind of story out that combines those elements is very personal to me. And I joke around, like when people come up and ask me questions about it at the con, I can still hear the kid in me, the 5th grader, gets really excited. I start talking faster because it's still, that passion is still there, right? It's me sort of kind of finally saying, I'm hoping I'm giving you something, or I'm passing that along as my legacy. Because that's kind of my dream too. Like, I want to leave something behind that I guess speaks about a reflection of who I am and who I was. And hopefully inspires, you know, a new generation of kids the way I was to like create stories that really at the end of the day, you know, storytelling is our modern mythology. And besides entertainment, it can be used for different purposes, and it can be used to get us through tough times and maybe sometimes make good choices in life. And that's the thing that I'm really more passionate about. I mean, I love the entertainment aspect of it, I always will, but I mean, I really, like any of us who go through tough chapters in life, I've watched Star Trek episodes to kind of deal with a tough issue, or, you know, and so I hope that what goes on as the story progresses and an audience gets interested and involved, hopefully we'll feel the same way, that, you know, they'll laugh, they'll cry, maybe they'll learn something, you know, like I said, they'll be moved. But so by saying that, yeah, it's a love letter of those genres. It's just my way of sort of giving back to what I've gotten my entire life from the things that I grew up loving, you know. So.
Okay, so thank you for sitting down and doing this interview with us. We'll have the link to his Facebook page of Black Alpha in the description below, as well to the link to his store.
Mm-hmm.
And on our Facebook page, we're going to be giving away an autographed copy of the first issue of Black Alpha, so you can go check that out. That'll all be on there. You have the links on there as well. Maybe you can go check out his store, order some of his merchandise, because it's really awesome. I've seen some of the figures.
Oh, thank you.
Very well painted and everything. I'm going to get one myself later. But yeah, check out our Facebook page, check out his store, check out his Facebook page, and we'll keep you updated on more information as it becomes available, as where the issues can be purchased.
Mm-hmm.
If they're going to his store, we'll share the links to when they go up. Yeah. And check them out on was it USA Today?
Yeah, like I said, if anyone goes to the Black Alpha Facebook page, likes it, I'll have updates, and I'll keep. Like I said, I probably update it easily a few times a day, at least a few times a week, and I try and I post links on there all the time. So when the USA, there'll be an interview that the paper will be doing with me shortly, and then when the actual launch kicks in, then also I'll announce that as well, and then people can follow it after that. So.
Well, and there you have it. So we'll see you at whatever next con we do. Should be, don't know which one it is yet, but see you next time.
We will definitely meet again. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.